My wife coerced me into an open marriage, then cheated multiple times. Now that I'm ready to leave, she's begging me to stay and claims I'm the one for her. I've been with my wife, let's call her Emily, for about 10 years now. Over the years, we've had our fair share of problems, but I never thought they were serious enough to make me want to leave. For example, she's always disliked my parents, and from where I stand, it seems like it's for no good reason. There were also a few occasions when she gave her number to other guys, which bothered me, but I didn't want to come off as controlling. She'd always tell me that she could only be friends with men because, in her words, women are just too much drama. Once she even threatened to kick me out of our home. At the time, I had just moved to her country and was still jobless, so that really shook me, all because she wasn't happy with how her birthday went. Our sex life, too, has taken a nosedive over the years. She often criticizes and mocks me whenever I struggle with occasional erectile issues. If I'm too tired to have sex or don't initiate it as often as she'd like, she blames me. I know she's been through a traumatic experience before we met. She was sexually assaulted, and I've always tried to be supportive, excusing her behavior because of it. Looking back now, I realize I should have seen those things as red flags, but I was inexperienced and just didn't know any better. 2 years ago, I was feeling completely drained and stressed out. Around that time, Emily started an emotional affair with a male colleague. While I was visiting my family back home, she began texting him constantly, even late into the night, and they had regular phone calls at work. When I confronted her about it, she brushed it off, saying, "He's just a friend," and accused me of being possessive and insecure. I tried bringing up my concerns several times over the following weeks and months, but it always ended in bigger fights than the ones before. She kept telling me that I was bringing negative energy into our relationship, and that I didn't smile enough, which is why she needed to stay in touch with this guy. My mental health took a nosedive. I was barely sleeping and had lost all interest in sex. That's when Emily asked if we could open up our marriage so she could get her physical needs met elsewhere, since I wasn't up to it. I was shocked and immediately refused, telling her that an open relationship goes against everything I believe in. She got angry, saying I wasn't willing to make sacrifices for her, and insisted that she had the right to do whatever she wanted with her body. Eventually, I went to the doctor and ended up on heavy antidepressants. Thanks to working from home, I was at least able to keep my job. Emily kept saying she could end her friendship anytime if it was hurting me so much, but she never did. Instead, she just put her phone on silent. I tried to work on our sex life, telling her that her constant criticism wasn't helping, but she just accused me of being oversensitive. She also flat out refused to go to couples counseling or individual therapy for her past trauma, even though I suggested it several times. Instead, she started using that trauma as a way to pressure me into opening up our marriage, claiming it was the only way she could heal. I found that idea completely ridiculous. The pressure to open up our marriage, or at least let her make out with this guy, went on for months until I finally gave in. I just didn't have the strength to keep resisting. I was so deep in depression that I was on the brink of ending it all. We were supposed to move to a new house far away from that guy, and I foolishly thought she might not do anything reckless right before the move. But, man, was I wrong. Turns out she slept with him at least 10 times, which I discovered weeks later. By that point, I was mentally done with her, and I should have walked away. Probably a year earlier, if I'm honest. But my heart was still holding on, and then there was the new house. So, we went ahead with the move. I thought maybe this was our chance to try and salvage what was left. But whenever I tried to talk about what had happened, she'd accuse me of bringing up old issues and lock herself in the bedroom for hours. Eventually, I found out why she was already messaging some local guys. At this point, too much had been broken, and I knew I needed to leave. I recognized that I put myself in this situation. My heart just didn't want to give up, even though my head and gut were screaming at me to get out. But now, I'm ready to go. I've already consulted a lawyer. I planned to tell her I wanted a divorce once I had an apartment lined up. But a month ago, she came home smelling like another man. She didn't even bother to shower, so the scent lingered for 2 days. It was revolting, and it triggered me to finally tell her that I wanted out. She started crying, saying she doesn't want to end things, that I'm the right one for her, and she can't understand why I'd want to give up now. She suggested that maybe if we talk more, cuddle, and focus on the future instead of the past, we could make it work. I told her that I didn't think anything could undo the past 2.5 years of emotional abuse and affairs. She said she understands that she's hurt me, but that she still loves me. I can't comprehend how someone can treat a person they love like this for so long. I mean, she claimed she only slept with the last guy out of despair because our relationship was in such bad shape, and she didn't feel desired. I told her that my desire for her vanished when she coerced me into opening our marriage and started sleeping around. And as it turns out, she still wants to keep her friend in the picture. When I asked if she was willing to go no contact with him, she refused. She said, "If you're forbidding me from having friends, we can just end it right here." I told her that if she slept with him, he's not just a friend. Then she said that if we were to close the marriage again, it would have to suit her, meaning we'd need to have sex as often as she wants and make sure she feels happy and desired again. So, the only option I see now is to leave. She's not willing to do what I consider the bare minimum for reconciliation, going no contact with her affair partners. It's always about what she wants. I've talked to a lawyer and finally have an apartment lined up, so I'll be leaving in about a month. I'm angry at myself for not acting sooner and even more at her for destroying the dream I worked so hard for. I'll have to give up the house since I can't afford the mortgage, but she can with her salary. At least I'll eventually get my half in cash. But why is it so damn hard to leave, even though I know it's the right thing to do? Why does my mind and heart keep second-guessing it? Some days, I have to force myself to take the necessary steps. My wife coerced me into an open marriage so she could cheat without guilt, and now I'm working on leaving, but I keep having doubts.